Hello, I'm Gigi the Reader, and today I will be reviewing Rouge by Cora Carmack. Okay, the story starts out with a character named Aurora. She traveled from the wildlands to a city called Pavan, spelled P as in Paul, A, V as in Victor, A-N, and I guess I'm pronouncing it right. It's Pavan. So she traveled from the wildlands to a city called Pavan. She was in something called a remnant camp just outside the city of Pavan, a place made of tents and sheds people made for shelter. A man named Kiran had been following her. He had been traveling with her. It says that she was once a princess in this torn city, which she once called her, which was once her home. Aurora had the ability to sense dead souls, and she could sense them throughout the city. She could hear and feel the dead souls, and it was making her physically tired. Her mother's name is Queen Afra. The scene switches to the two new characters, Cassius Locke. His last name is Locke, Locke, and his brother Casimir Locke. They are part of the royal Locke family, and their father is the king. We only know so far that Cassius is searching for Aurora. Aurora had once lived with Cassius but fled from him. She was almost his bride before she ran away. Casimir tells Cassius to let go of his obsession with the Pavan girl, Aurora, as he calls her, saying he'd be better off without her. Kiran was thinking of the royal Locke family who Aurora had fled from. Okay, as I was saying, Kiran, her other friend that she's traveling with Aurora, was thinking of the... Oh my God, hold on one second. Okay, this is probably my co-narrator, Shaquita The Fairy. She's running late as usual. Hold on. Oh my God. Hold on, here I come. I'm coming to the door. Alright, here.
Hey, I'm here, everybody. I'm here.
Oh, boy. Okay, here she is.
Gigi, close the door back, Gigi, so we can get started. I'm here. Anywho, so what's the book about? What is that, Gigi? Who is that over there sitting over there in the corner?
That's my dog.
Your dog?
Mm-hmm.
So when we start bringing our pets, can I bring my bees here? Even though they're not pets, they're my bees. I'm the fairy of the bees. You get that big German shepherd over there in the corner, Gigi. Since when did we start bringing our pets to work?
Well, he lives here.
Anyway, he better stay his butt over there. That's all I know. Let me get a mic, Gigi. What's this, Gigi? Oh my God. Over here, Gigi. Oh my God. Another dollar store. God damn it, Gigi. Another dollar store. Rage. Okay. Oh, so you said it's gonna be good. Okay. Alright. I mean, I just got here. I got to see I'm the fairy of the bees. I'm busy. And okay, I hope this is a good one, Gigi. Cause you done had some hit and misses with these doggone Dollar Tree books. That's all I'm saying, Gigi. I hope this is a hit. I mean, Rage, it sounds pretty, I don't know, Gigi. It sounds pretty good so far. The woman, I don't know, they kind of, what's this? These characters trying to infiltrate a city. What is it about? Okay, I'll let you continue. They trying to infiltrate a city that she ran away from. Okay. But you keep that, like I say, you keep that dog over there. Keep that dog over there. He's looking at me kind of funny, Gigi.
He's alright.
He's looking at me kind of funny.
No, he's not.
But he better stay his butt over there. Okay, continue on.
Okay, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. Kiran was thinking of the royal Locke family who Aurora had fled from. Aurora and Kiran had a companion traveling with them by the name of Jinx. Jinx is an earth witch who can magically grow fruits and vegetables overnight. Their other companions were named Ransom, Rock, Duke, a young teen guy named Bait, and another female, a dark-skinned hunter named Sly. They all camped outside the remnant city on the outskirts of Pavan. Their plan was to go into the city and ask questions and get information. Suddenly, before entering the city, Kiran is shocked to find out something Aurora tells him. She says her mother is in the city of Pavan. he's just finding out she has a living mother. She had never spoke about her parents, but now he knows she's looking for her mother. Kieran responds to her, "We will get your mother."
Okay, Gigi, hold up. Let's just rewind just a few, back up into a few steps. When you're introducing Aurora's crew that she hanged, this chick named Aurora that's trying to go back into the city she ran away from. See, you just named her whole crew that she was with, right, Gigi? Okay, she got a friend, Coran, which is, I guess, her boyfriend. Then she got Ransom, Rock, and Duke, and Jinx. And Jinx is a Earth Witch. But let's back up a little bit more, and we got another character named Sly. Mm-hmm. Sly is a hunter, and she's described as a dark-skinned hunter. As dark-skinned.
Right.
Okay, so in other words, she's a sister, huh, Gigi? We got a black character so far. Okay.
Yep.
That's cool, Gigi. That's cool. That's pretty. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to shine some light on it, Gigi. We got a black character. Mm-hmm. Let's just go like that. That's a dark-skinned hunter named Sly. Okay, a sister.
Right.
All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're gonna see how this goes. Okay, continue on.
You're gonna be surprised as we continue. Okay, Aurora questioned some women camped outside of Pavan in the remnant camp. She found out the loyal Locke family had taken over Pavan. Kieran asked the women about the guards in the city and how often they patrolled. The next day, they were still trying to figure out a way to break into the city of Pavan, trying to figure out how to get past the Locke soldiers. They had to wait for an opening. Finally, they saw Casimir Locke, the royal prince, Cassius' brother, march with a team of soldiers outside the city walls. He had his soldiers tear down some tents in the remnant camp and burn them. The remnant camp is what surrounds outside city walls of the Pavan because they're not allowed in. So the people that's not allowed in created a camp around the walls of the city, so that they're not allowed in, and so his brother Casimir comes and have them soldiers tear the tents down. Then he announced to the people, "Whatever it is you were hoping for, you will not find it here. So go back to wherever you came from." So now Aurora told Kieran, "We need to find a way inside the city fast." The next evening, Aurora and her crew leave the remnant camp outside the Pavan walls. They tried to sneak into the city past the guards. This was the city she ran away from, but she was back. She wanted to search Pavan for her mother. For some reason, every time there was a storm, the people in the remnant camp outside of Pavan would scream and beg to be let into the city. Okay, so it doesn't explain why sometimes it storms on the outside, it doesn't storm on the inside. So anyway, the book refers to Aurora as a stormling. She has very white hair, which is the sign of being a stormling. So she keeps it covered with a hood to hide her identity. Aurora and her crew managed to sneak into the city by climbing the walls via a vine that Jinx, the Earth Witch, quickly and magically grew in an instant. Finally, over the wall, Aurora would search for her mother. They all climbed the wall, Bait, Kieran, Duke, Jinx, Sly, and Ransom. The first thing they had to do was find the secret black market where storm magic was bought and sold. We find out the royal family that took over Pavan was the family that destroyed Kieran's family. The building they were looking for was called the Eye. They found out the Eye had been decimated. Aurora thought to herself, "What now?" After that, the crew stayed in an inn overnight. Aurora woke up very early the next morning and watched the city from the rooftop of the inn. From the inn's rooftop, she spotted the Locke soldiers marching and was shocked. The man leading them was someone she knew. He was a former teacher who taught her to fight, but she couldn't believe he was now working for the royal Locke family. His name was Tavan. Tavan was once her guard when she was with Cassius. When Tavan departed from the other soldiers, she leapt from the rooftop and followed him through the city. So she actually lived with Cassius, who's the prince of the city right now, and she was engaged to be married with him, and now she sees one of her former guards. Jinx saw Jinx saw her and caught up and joined her. They lost him in the streets but found a hidden shelter in their efforts. The door opened to a hole with a ladder that led down. They climbed in. The bottom led to a room with a dirt floor. It was dark and Aurora heard voices. She saw another room enclosed with a closed door. She tried to eavesdrop to hear what they were saying. When she heard a loud thud of a door slamming, she looked around searching for Jinx, but she wasn't there. Then she heard the loud footsteps from multiple people coming near. She ran and hid behind some barrels. Suddenly, the room was flooded with light. A big burly man stepped forward. He was dragging a woman in, and he had his large arms around her neck. It was Jinx. While the big man held her, a woman starts to question Jinx, asking her who she was and why she was there. Suddenly, Jinx, being an earth witch, cast some sort of spell. Vines and plants sprout up from the dirt floor, and the ground buckled and shook. The vines twisted around people's limbs and ensnared them. While in the scuffle, Jinx and Aurora ended up on the losing end of the fight. The woman ended up pinning Aurora to the floor and asked her, "Who sent you?" She did not answer. Then she heard a man's voice say, "Stop," and grabbed the woman and pushed her back. The man stood over her. Aurora could see it was Pavan, the man who had once been her bodyguard. When Pavan yelled stop, the woman said, "Why should I?" Pavan said, "Because she's the rightful heir to the kingdom of Pavan." We find out that Aurora is the princess of Pavan, but she ran away. She ran away because she didn't want to marry Prince Cassius, but she's now returned to find her mother, Queen Afra. And the next chapter is a scene of a woman named Nova being taken out of a jail cell by Prince Cassius's brother, Casimir. She's being held in the dungeon because Prince Cassius thinks she had something to do with Princess Aurora's kidnapping. Nova once worked in the palace kitchen. They walked past the kitchen and she was taken to Prince Cassius' office. So when she ran away from the castle, from Pavan, the city of Pavan, when Aurora ran away, Cassius the prince assumed that she had been kidnapped, and they think Nova has something to do with it. So he locked her up in a jail cell in the dungeon. Now he's taking her out, and they bring in Nova to Cassius to be questioned. The soldier set her in a chair and left her there alone with Cassius. He asked her, "Do you think she's still alive? Am I wasting my time searching for her?" Nova answered, "I do not know. Nova had nothing to do with the kidnapping, but she did help Aurora escape Pavan." The scene switches back to Aurora and Pavan in the shelter cellar type room. The woman who had once held Aurora down before Pavan pulled her off, name is Zephyr. The big burly man that had held onto Jinx's name was Brax. On page 74, Brax's skin is described as the same shade as the shadows that swathed the room. The woman, Zephyr, is described as having thick, dark hair that trailed past her waist and decorated with braids and curls, dark eyebrows, piercing brown black eyes, sharp, defined cheekbones, and her skin a gold-touch brown. Aurora asked Zephyr, "Who are you?" Zephyr said, "I am the one who has been fighting for your people in your absence. Welcome to the rebellion." She pointed to the shelter around her. Finally, Aurora asked Zephyr, "What are you?" Zephyr answered, "A water witch." Jinx introduced herself to Zephyr. Zephyr guessed Jinx was an earth witch. Then they both looked at Aurora, and Jinx said, "And the princess too, who knew?" They both were just finding out who Aurora really was.
Wait a minute, let's back up now. See, we got a new character. It sounds like we got another black character. Is this new person called Zephyr? And she's a witch. And she's a witch, and unlike Jinx, who's an earth witch, Zephyr is a water witch. Okay, so she got powers. She's not only a black character, but she got powers, but they described her, Gigi, this is a black woman, she decorated, they described her as having thick, dark, long hair that trailed past her waist, decorated with braids and curls, dark eyebrows, piercing brown black eyes, sharp defined cheekbones, and her skin golden brown. Okay, so they described her as brown, Gigi. Brown with long black hair braids. Okay, so this is the sister right here. Okay, that's cool. Alright, that's good. So we got so far. Oh wow, we got 2 black characters now. We're gonna right, I'm just saying, Gigi, I'm just stating the obvious. And she got powers too. She's a water witch. Okay. Okay, continue on.
Okay, so finally Aurora asked Pavan about her mother. Was she dead or alive? He told her she's very ill but lives, though she does not believe the same is true of you. Then the story switches back to the city of Pavan that's under siege from yet another firestorm. This book never explains or tells what the firestorms are or what is causing them, but they set the buildings on fire. We are now on to Kieran Thorne, Aurora's close friend. He is in a smoke-filled building afire by one of the storms. He looks for Aurora. Everyone who's been staying in the inn have evacuated the burning building. He found her walking up the street from the inn with Jinx. We find out that Jinx, the Earth Witch, has the ability to power to create rainstorms. She created one over the city to help put some of the fires out. The next night, while alone in their room together, Aurora decides to start telling Kieran about her past and who she really is. He and everybody else have always called her Roar. She confessed to him, my real name is Aurora. He said, why did you lie about your name? She said, Roar was like a clean slate. He said, and why did you need a clean slate? What were you running from? She said, I was supposed to be married. He stepped back and recoiled. He says he felt stupid and sick to his bones. She said, say something. He said, what am I supposed to say? He hated the name Locke. It made him sick. In his mind, he was starting to see her in a new light. He turned and started to storm out of the room. She stopped him and said, I'm still me. He replied, are you? Nothing I know about you is true. She said, we are true. I did not lie about any of that. He said, we could leave, go anywhere on the continent. We'll make a new life. She responded back, I can't do that. Look what's happening in my absence. My mother is ill, the city is under attack, and a ruthless family has taken over my kingdom. He said, and how exactly do you plan on regaining your kingdom? Will you marry him? No, she snapped at him. He told her she should marry. He said, it's the simplest way to make things right. She said, if I cared about simple, I would not have staged my own kidnapping and run away with you. He pulled away from her and said, do you have any idea how much danger you've brought to the rest of us? I told you what the Locks did to my sister. What do you think they'll do to the people who took you away from the prince's intended bride? She yelled back, you did not take me away. I took myself. He responded, that won't matter when there's a noose around our necks. It was his responsibility to his crew. He told her, this isn't the home you left. Things have changed. You can't waltz back in and demand your crown back, not unless you plan to marry to do it. Then she told him she'd seen an old member of her personal guard yesterday. She told him about Tevin. She told him he showed her a secret hideout for members of the rebellion. She told him, I'm supposed to meet him again in the morning. I had hoped you would go with me. Kieran curtly disagreed and suggested they go back to the wildlands where they came from. It was too dangerous getting involved in a revolution. She responded, you want me to run away? Kieran snapped, yes, you did it once before. What's the difference? Kieran became angry. He thought about how simple his life was before he met Aurora, how he had got involved with her and her problems. He knew everything was a lie. There was no future there for him. She walked toward him saying, Kieran. He snapped, don't touch me. He turned and quickly dressed to leave. She said, it was never my intention to hurt you. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to choose my own life rather than leaving it chosen for me. He said, is that not what's happening now? If you go against the Locks, they won't care who you are, princess or peasant child. They will cut down anyone in their way. She said, I left so I could become the woman I needed to be in order to protect my kingdom. He told her, you're a Stormling. What more do you need? When he saw the flashing in her chest, he guessed why. Being a Stormling meant Aurora had special powers to create to create storms, but her powers never manifested or developed. Then Kieran looked at her and said, you needed magic. She confessed, mine never manifested. It's why I was supposed to marry Cassius. He was powerful enough to make up for my flaws, but then I met you and everything changed. I realized I didn't have to remain helpless. She went on, you saved my life, Kieran. He responded, did I? Sound to me like I was the mistake. If you never met me, the city would not be in an upheaval. You would still have your crown, and you would be with your mother and your friends where you belong. She said, I belong with you. He said, but I don't belong here, princess. I never will. Then he opened the door and left. The next morning, Aurora waited as long as she could in the inn for Kieran to come back. She waited for Jinx. Jinx knew everything now, but the rest of the crew didn't know that what Kieran and Aurora argued about the day before. Aurora told Jinx, you don't have to come. This is my mess. I won't drag the rest of you into it. Jinx said, why didn't you tell us? She said, my whole life my mother drilled into me that I could not trust anyone but myself. Jinx said, did we not do enough to gain your trust? Aurora said, of course, but then it was too dangerous. Then she told Jinx she didn't know she would fall in love with Kieran and how she would love them all. After their conversation, Jinx agreed to go with Aurora to meet with Tavan. They walked through the city to the rebellion's hidden shelter. Tavan met them in front of the shelter, and they all went inside. When they got inside, Zephyr, the water witch, was waiting in another room down a long corridor. When they all entered the room, who was already there was Zephyr. It was Kieran. Zephyr asked Kieran, should I call you Kieran or Thorn? He said either is fine, but he did not make eye contact or speak to Aurora. Aurora asked Zephyr, how do the two of you know each other? Zephyr replied, we have similar interests. Aurora's stomach pitched and she thought she might be sick. Then Kieran spoke. Zephyr was the proprietor behind a place called The Eye. I did a special hunt for her a few years back. Zephyr said, yes, it is a pity The Eye is no more. We have Cassius to thank for that. Aurora spoke. So it was Cassius who destroyed The Eye. Zephyr answered. His brother led the raid, but since Cassius oversees the military, I'm sure it was done on his command. Finally, Aurora turned to Kieran and asked, how did you know where to find her? He said Jinx had told him the leader of the rebellion was a water witch. Then he said, I only know of one in Pavan, so I went to a tavern where I knew I could get a message to her. Aurora was confused. He had been so against her taking part in rebellion, but then went straight to the woman who led it. What was he playing at? She didn't want to ask him more questions, so she looked at Tavan and said, tell me everything. She listened for the next hour as Tavan told her the story of her kingdom's fall. Aurora asked why her mother, the queen, didn't do more than to protect Pavan. How could she let this happen? He said, when the queen found out Aurora had been kidnapped, she had lost all hope. She was devastated, reduced to ruins by grief. Then Aurora asked about her friend Nova. Tavan told her she was locked in a dungeon because she helped orchestrate your kidnapping. Aurora replied, that's not true. He told her they locked her up because they found a piece of jewelry Prince Cassius had given to Aurora, but Aurora said she gave the stone heart to Nova because it meant nothing to her. Then she told Tavan, we have to help her. Then Zephyr starts to explain to Aurora that the Stormlord is after the Locke family. She said if we are lucky, they are all he wants. So the logical solution is to deliver the Locke family to the Stormlord, either by stealth or violent insurrection. At first, Zephyr was hesitant to help Aurora or let her join the rebellion because she had her own agenda to help the people of Pavan. But she finally agreed to let her join on the basis and promise that when they overthrew the Locke family and Aurora was back in control, Aurora would let Zephyr reopen her place of business called The Eye. In the next chapter, it is established that Aurora and the entire crew has joined Zephyr's rebellion. Duke, Bait, Sly, Ransom, Jinx, and even Kieran. He is still acting cold towards Aurora, but and said he only agreed to join the rebellion in order to punish the Locks for what they did to his sister. Okay, further into the chapter, it takes us back to Aurora and the crew working the rebellion. Their first strategy of attack was to infiltrate the palace. The palace where the Lock family was and where she once lived. The plan was to enter the palace and kidnap at least one of the Locks to use as a show of trust in their attempts to contact and reach a bargain for peace with the Stormlord. Aurora's main agenda was to fight for and save her mother, Queen Afra, and her friend Nova. Aurora managed to unlock the gate at the palace and her magic abilities. Aurora's crew and Zephyr's crew rushed into the courtyard and towards the north wing that housed the royal suites. Aurora wanted to get to her mother, the queen, so her and Jinx scaled the wall of the queen's balcony. When Aurora finally made it to her mother's room, she saw her mother huddled in bed asleep. She heard her mother had been ill, and this was the first time in years since she'd seen her mother. She didn't look well. She looked very old and frail. Aurora shook her mother and tried to wake her by saying, "Mother, Ma, wake up. It's me, Aurora. I'm home." But she did not awaken. Then Jinx examined her and said, "She's been drugged." Aurora asked Jinx if there was a way to wake her up. Jinx said there was no way to quickly awaken her. Jinx was not positive she could awaken Queen Afra up. She said it depends on what had been given to her. Suddenly they could hear soldiers stomping down the hallway towards the room, yelling something about a breach. Jinx and Aurora both pulled the queen from her bed and both pulled her arms over their shoulders to carry her out of the room through a secret passageway that Aurora had remembered. Next, Aurora wanted to let Jinx get her mother to the shelter while she went back in to search for her friend Nova, but Jinx said that they should stay together and come back another time to get her friend Nova, but Aurora insisted they find Nova, so they headed for the dungeon. They both decided they'd hide the queen in the maid's room while they made it to the dungeon to find Nova. In the next chapter, the scene switches to Cassius in Aurora's study. He's heard the alarms going off, but this alarm was not a storm alarm that he's used to. Normally the palace is attacked by storms, but these sirens he heard meant they were being attacked not by storms but by men. He jumped up and ran out into the hallway where he saw a swarm of soldiers scattering in chaos. He questioned them and had a few follow him to the queen's room. When he got there, the first thing he saw was the maid laid out on the floor unconscious. He noticed the queen's empty bed. He wondered who dared invade the castle and take the queen from under his nose. He wondered, could it have been the Stormlord? He inspected the room and noticed the vine on the queen's balcony. One he never noticed before. Then, when he touched it, he knew immediately it was a magic vine conjured by a witch. Suddenly, he realized there was a witch in Pavan, and he knew they had the queen. The scene switched to Karan, Ransom, and Zephyr in another room, in another part of the palace, searching for where the royal Lock family resided inside. Zephyr and Ransom threw a glass veil of magic on the floors and the hallways, causing a magical thick fog to veil them from the soldiers and to knock the soldiers out. Now they were in the royal family's wing of the palace. They saw the queen knocked out on the floor, not Queen Afra's, Aurora's mother, but the Lock Queen, mother to Cassius and Casimir. She's described as a middle-aged woman with honey brown skin. Since they were there to kidnap a member of the royal family, Zephyr demanded they take her, but Kiran and Ransom refused, saying they'd rather take a male member of the family. So they took off running from room to room searching for other royal family members. A man appeared and attacked Ransom by throwing a large piece of pottery at him. It was Casimir, and Casimir is described as a lean young man with curly black hair and skin a shade darker than his mother, the queen's, and it was Casimir Lock. Before Ransom and Kiran could strike back at him, Zephyr scratched his face with a poison claw attached to her glove. The poison knocked him out. After knocking him out, they decided this is the royal family member they would kidnap.
already been confirmed, and verified that we had two black characters so far. We thought we only had two black characters in the story. We had Sly, which is the water witch. No, Sly is the hunter, who's dark-skinned. That's a black, that's a sister. She black. And then we had Zafar. Zafar is black. She's the water witch. And she's black with the gold skin and the long braids that go down her back. They say go down to her waist. Dark black hair. We know she black. And now we got you mean to tell me the royal family? We got a black royal family. This is a white writer. But you tell me, Gigi, that we have a black royal family in this story. Because they could describe the queen, because Cassius' mother, the queen, not Aurora's mother, but Cassius' mother, who was passed out, somebody knocked out in the palace, she described as a middle-aged woman with honey brown skin. And then her son, Casimir's brother, or Cassius' brother, Casimir, the one that just been caught and knocked out, they're going to kidnap, is having curly black hair and a skin a shade darker than the queen's, his mother. So they black folks, Gigi. It's official.
Yep.
It's a black royal family in the story, Gigi, let me tell you. Well, sookie, looky. Okay, well, it's going to be on and popping from now on, Gigi. This story going to be on pop, locking and cracking and everything else, Gigi. Okay, continue on.
Okay, the scene switches again to Aurora and Jinx, who are running through the palace searching for the dungeons. As they slip through a secret passageway to the dungeon to find Nova, Jinx started asking Aurora why Nova was so important to her. Aurora told her Nova was her only friend through her childhood, that her own brother died when she was a child. He was the original heir, so it would be left up to Aurora to take the throne as the heir and protect the city, but her powers didn't develop for some reason. She had to marry Cassius Locke in order to form her powers, but Cassius, who was cold and cruel, and she did not want to marry him, so she ran away. Jinx told Aurora, "You don't have to feel guilty for wanting to be free. It's hard to live under the weight of that kind of secret. I left my home for a fresh start too." Aurora responded, "Yes, but you did not leave an entire kingdom at the mercy of a carnivorous family and your best friend to take the fall for your disappearance." Finally, Aurora and Jinx come to a wall in the passageway. They couldn't get past it. They know the dungeon is on the other side because they could hear Nova call out to her. Aurora tried using her Stormlord magic, but it didn't work. Then they heard a voice behind them. It was Sly. She had been following them and was there to help. Sly managed to use magic to open the floor underneath the wall. They came up through the floor of Nova's jail cell and rescued her. Before they could leave out the passageway, the entire palace started to shake. Aurora said, "It's the Stormlord. He's attacking the palace. We need to get out of here before it's too late." The scene switched to Zephyr and Kieran and Rakim and Ransom running from the palace, about to escape over the palace walls, when Bait runs up to Kieran and Ransom and tells them Sly, Jinx, and Aurora are still inside. Kieran, Bait, and Ransom run back to the palace to search for the four girls. At the same time, the girls were just leaving the secret passageway and were crawling out of the secret tunnels. Before all four girls could escape back to the maid's room where they left Aurora's mother, Queen Afra, the overhead firestorm ripped through the castle, knocking down a beam that dropped and separated Jinx and Nova from Aurora and Sly. Then 4 locked soldiers showed up before Sly and Aurora could save Jinx and Nova. Sly and Aurora had to leave to fight the soldiers off while they ran back to the maid's room to retrieve the queen from where they left her. Finally, Aurora and Sly made it back to the room where she left her mother. As they carried the mother through a passageway, they neared the private rooms where Aurora once stayed in the palace. Suddenly, she could hear a familiar voice speaking to a soldier. It was Cassius. As Cassius was telling the soldiers to not kill the 2 girls who'd just been captured, he wanted to question them. It was Jinx and Nova. They had been captured. In the meantime, Aurora and Sly made it back to the Queen's room and headed to the balcony to leave from the same way they came in, but the vines they climbed to enter had been burned away, so they tied the Queen's bed linens together to make a rope from the balcony. Then they wrapped the queen up in more linens, and they lowered her over the balcony. Before Aurora and Sly escaped with her mother over the balcony, Aurora ran back to her old room where Cassius was staying now. The room was empty. So she grabbed a piece of paper and a writing quill from a desk. She wrote Cassius a quick letter, hoping it would help save her two friends. Finally, Cassius meets up with his father, the king, in the palace. Cassius informs his father that his brother Casimir is missing. They start to argue. The king says, "Are you saying your brother has been kidnapped?" He says yes, and snapped back at his father, asking, "So where were you?" Casimir was gone, and my mother, your wife, was laid out on the floor as though she'd been crawling for help. So where were you? His father stumbled across the floor towards Cassius. Cassius snapped at him again, saying, "You're drunk," and getting more pathetic by the day.
Well, I'll be just damned, Gigi. Now we already found out that this is a black family. You know the royal family, they are black. The writer clearly had just described his father and his mother. This mother, she is being described as a middle-aged woman with honey brown skin, and they described his brother who they kidnapped. They described Casimir, Cassius' brother, with curly black hair and skin a shade darker than the queen's. His mother, the queen, was brown and he's darker, and they had curly black hair. So this is a black royal family. But God damn it, Gigi, why come we can't just run stuff right? Now they done took over this white woman's castle and the city, and now you got the king. That just seems about obvious that not even the black king is drunk. He been taking a drink. Oh my God. Why come black folks came? Why come took over this woman's castle, and now? But maybe Cassius got more sense than the rest of them, because he just called his father out, and his exact words, Gigi, was, "You're drunk and you're getting more pathetic by the day." Wow. Okay, well, continue on.
The king retorted, "You will not speak to me that way. I am your father. I made you." Cassius replied, "And what a failure you are in those both roles now. King of a city that no longer exists, and the father of a son you did not even know was in danger." The king lunged at him, but Cassius spun out of his way, and his father crashed into the wall. Cassius continued, I should leave you here. How long do you think you would last against the Stormlord without me? How long before he would have you? I hear he's viciously mad. Maybe you get lucky and he'll take your head in one clean cut and mount it on the battlements to make a display of you like he's done to so many of our soldiers. I'm done being your pawn, old man. I should have gone my own way the day you got our home destroyed. His father replied, You are wrong if you think he'll stop at me. The things you have yet to learn about this world could fill an ocean. Cassius retorted, Then perhaps it's time for me to venture out and see if I can swim. Good luck keeping your head above water without me. At that, he stormed out of the room.
Wow, Gigi, this is too much right here. Why can't just stick together and run stuff right, Gigi? The royal family, can I just reiterate that they are black folks and took over their royal black family? And you know what? I don't know if this white writer is trying to throw shade and saying black people, because this family right here, I gotta reiterate what he just said to his drunk father. We are back early in the chapter that the king is a drunk. Okay, so he been drinking. He had a drink on. And Cassius said, I should have gone my own way the day you got our home destroyed. What that mean, Gigi? He said a mouthful. He said a lot.
Yep.
He said, I should leave you here. How long do you think you would last against the Stormlord without me? How long before he would have you? I hear he's viciously mad. Maybe you'll get lucky and he'll take your head in one clean cut and mount it on the battlements to make a display of you like he's done so many of our soldiers. I'm done being your pawn, old man. I should have gone my own way the day you get our home destroyed. Wow, Gigi, what that mean? Did they have a home before they invaded this castle?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell, Gigi? I mean, it's implied right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's implied that they had a home, but the king, the drunk king, had their home destroyed, and I guess they had to take over Aurora's city and the castle.
Right.
Boy, I know that white woman was heated when she took over the black family. Them Negroes come in there and took her castle over. I'd be just damn, Gigi, and they can't even stick together with. Oh my God. Okay, it's getting good though, but continue on. There's so much drama in this family.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next after Cassie.
Okay, so Cassie sounds like he's about to abandon the family. So he said, we're going to see. I want to see if he bothered to get his brother who's been kidnapped, see if he's going to get him back. How that's going to work. Okay, continue on.
Okay, so next after Cassius retreats to his room, he looks at his desk and notices a letter laying there. It's the letter Aurora left before she fled with her mother. He picks it up and reads it. It says, I have my mother. I will be coming for my kingdom next, and whatever cruelty you've shown to Nova, I'll make sure it is visited upon you and a thousandfold. Signed, Aurora. The story switches back to Aurora, Kieran, Ransom, and Sly carrying Aurora's mother through the city. They find a tavern to hide in. They go in and through the back of the building into a private room. Zephyr is waiting for them inside. Zephyr is angry and addresses Aurora about losing Jinx back at the palace. Aurora unwraps her mother. They laid her out on the table. She's still passed out.
I don't know. That sounds kind of fishy to me, Gigi. About Queen Afro, Aurora's mother, that woman still knocked out. She knocked out, I don't think she poisoned. I don't think she been poisoned. If she been poisoned, she'd be dead, Gigi. If she was poisoned. She ain't been poisoned. Or put a spell. Ain't no spell on her. You know what she did. She got the same affiliation as the queen. Cassius' father, the king, you heard him tell him in the last chapter that he was drunk, trying to fight with his son. You notice the queen was doing the same thing. I mean, she's a queen. Just put yourself in her place, Gigi. And the readers and the listeners too. Y'all listen to this and listen to me, because if you're the white queen, and you know the royal family, the Locke family, they black. They've been described as brown skinned with black hair, and they black people. The queen is black, and the Cassius's mother is black. She's been described as brown skinned. His brother and the king, and it's a black. Imagine you a white queen, and these Negroes move come in this royal family. But she don't see them as royal. She's a white woman. She's a white queen. And these Negroes come. She just see them as Negroes. Gigi, I'm trying to tell you. And they come and take over your castle and your city and living in your palace. So, you know what? That woman got her drinking drink on. Then her daughter ran away. Aurora ran away and left her there with all the Negroes and took over her castle. And the king is a drunk. You know, she got her drinking drink on, Gigi. I'm telling you, she got her drinking drink on.
Okay,
but take your mic back, Gigi.
Oh, God.
I'm trying to tell you, the children that's listening, or whoever listening to this review, I'm telling you, that woman got her drinking drink on, Gigi, and you know it. She's a drunk. She just ain't no spell been put on her, Gigi. The woman is a drunk, and she got a drinking drink on. Her and that king farm was drinking together. Okay, all right, continue on.
Okay, so Zephyr is more angry at Aurora, saying, you kidnapped the queen and brought her here. She tells Aurora that the Locke soldiers frequent the tavern, and if her mother is found there, it would blow her cover and reveal she's working with the rebellion. Aurora reveals to Zephyr that she has stormling powers that were inherited from her mother, who's a spirit witch. She infers that her powers could help aid the rebellion, and she reminds her of the promise she made to her when she let her join a rebellion. So Zephyr lets Aurora and her mother stay and takes her to another upstairs room near her office, a room where Kieran carried her mother to and laid her onto a bed. Across from the bed was a sofa where Aurora sat. Zephyr left to go back downstairs to the tavern, leaving Kieran and Aurora alone to talk. They conversated about how bad Aurora felt for getting Jinx trapped back at the palace. Kieran assured her it was not her fault because Jinx volunteered to help. They hugged and made up. The next chapter switches back to Nova and Jinx captured in the palace, but they were not taken to the dungeon. They were put in a wing of the castle that houses military forces. They were in the soldiers' barracks where Jinx and Nova conversate and lock up. We find out Nova is a fire witch. When Cassius entered the room to question them, surprisingly he told the soldiers, quote, to fetch blankets and have the maid bring up something to eat and drink for our guests. As Cassius questioned Jinx about her affiliation with Aurora, he thought to himself, did Aurora not know she could walk right back in and he would welcome her gladly? He knew if Aurora came home, they would stand a better chance at holding off the Stormlord with their abilities combined. That was all that mattered. She could have the throne. He asked Jinx how she could get a message to Aurora since they would not tell him where she was. She told him, you could let us go. We will be your messengers. He said, not a chance. She retorted, then I guess your message will go unsent. The next scene, Kieran going through an alleyway in Pavan and into a building with a secret cellar door. Inside, he met with Rakeem, Zephyr's friend. He pointed him down the hall to another room where he met Brax, Zephyr's right-hand man. In the room with Brax was Casimir, Locke, Cass's brother, the one they'd kidnapped. Zephyr was sitting across from Casimir interrogating him. Ransom, Kieran's friend, was there too. Casimir sat tied to a chair. Kieran threatens Casimir that he will hand him over to the Stormlord. Casimir laughed and dared him, saying he wasn't afraid.
Excuse me, Gigi, I guess what? You know what I got? I got a recording of Cass's brother Casimir being interrogated by Kieran and Ransom. That's right, I got a recording. And they going back and forth. And here it is. Play the recording.
Everything you go with this tough guy stuff for years. I'm tired of this tough guy. Miss me with the tough guy. Miss me with the tough guy.
I know that the way we communicate to each other, you're just expressing yourself and you letting me know how you feel and who I'm talking to. Now, it's okay. I understand now. You fully let me know who you are and how you fuck with it and who you are, what you're talking about. Now, it's okay. Now I know. Now, I'm going to show you, and let you know who I am and how I operate.
See, that's where the shit is. I don't care who you are.
You should.
You are not on my radar. I'm in my own lane.
Listen.
Who are you? You can't even have a proper teeth.
Let me tell you something.
You are not relevant. You are not relevant. You always in your kitchen, bro. I don't care about who you are. You are nobody to me. I don't care about who you are.
Who you talk to. I'm a nigga, listen. I'm a person.
No, I don't. I don't gotta talk to you.
Hey, listen.
It's a privilege for you to talk to me.
Right?
Who are you?
Listen, I'm
you
a
are
person.
no one.
Listen,
you are no one. It is a privilege for you to talk to me, sir.
Nigga, you ain't no motherfucking Messiah, nigga. You a whole ass nigga up in here, nigga. Don't play with me like you about that life, nigga. You got to listen. You got to do all this fat mouthing on this instant motherfucking shit. You got to do all this fat mouthing on here. But what I do know is, let me tell you something else.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Stop cursing, young man.
Jokes, right?
Stop cursing.
It's all
Let me tell you something.
It's all jokes with you.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth before I watch your mouth.
Real.
Stop cursing, young man.
Call the police when shit get real.
Stop cursing. Stop
cursing. You don't tell me how to motherfucking talk, you square ass nigga. Don't talk to me like that.
Stop talking to me with such a vulgar tone. Watch your mouth.
Listen, man.
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
Okay, so continuing on with all that, boy, her and her recordings. So anyway, Kieran told Casimir he knew it was the Stormlord who destroyed his home, the place the royal family called home before they took over Pavan, and that the Stormlord was still looking for them.
Chiron told Casimir that he done found out that the royal family is running from the Stormlord. That he took over their city before they took over Pavan. So the Stormlord sound like, so the Stormlord ran Casimir and his brother Cassius and the king out of their kingdom into Pavan. So Stormlord sound like, and he's still looking for him. They ran away, the royal family, the Locks ran away from their kingdom and ran and took over Aurora's kingdom. And the Stormlord's still looking for him. So he's straight up gangster. Sound like to me, Gigi, he sound like a straight up gangster to me, Gigi. Now he's still looking for them. He must be a badass. Okay, you know what we should do, Gigi? Cue the gangster music. Cue it. Come on. Oh, he on the search. He's searching for him. He on the hunt for them, Gigi. He on the hunt for him. Oh, watch out. Here we go. Got that big Gigi.
Okay, that's enough of that. Alright, so continuing on. Casimir tells them their mission and the rebellion are doomed. He tells them that they'll all die by his hand and his brother's hand by the Stormlord. The scene switches to Cassius training and exercising with his soldiers and preparing a defense for another attack on the palace. After the training session, he went back to his rooms. A book was delivered to him. It was a book on magic. He wanted to read up on the witchcraft, which, even though the practice had been banned in the city of Pavan, he wanted to know more about magic because he knew Aurora had become friends with and aligned herself with a witch. The man who gave it to him got it from someone who owned a tavern. Cassius thought he might visit the tavern one day and see what information the owner could offer him.
What? You mean to tell me Cassius done got a book about witchcraft or magic? It says magic, Gigi, a book on magic. Because he wanted to read up on witchcraft, and he banned witchcraft in the city that he rules over. And it sounds like he got it from the streets. I want to know who he got it from, Gigi. It sounds like if it's some ghetto witchcraft, probably some voodoo. That's probably what he read about. Well, anyway, we're going to see what happens, Gigi. Continue on.
Okay, later back at the tavern, Aurora is constantly checking on her mother's conditions. She still hasn't woken up. Aurora looks around the second floor of the tavern and serves drinks. She sees Zephyr's lieutenant there too. Rakim, who's described as tall and dark-skinned. Kieran showed up and rushed Aurora back upstairs to Zephyr's office, telling her she could not be seen. Somebody might recognize her, and the soldiers were still on patrol. While Kieran and Aurora were talking, suddenly Aurora's mother wakes up. Aurora spent an entire day speaking with her mother, getting her caught up on everything since she ran away, and she told her about when she joined the rebellion.
Let me know the mic. Okay. So you mean to tell me that she done finally woke up, or her mother finally done woke up? Yeah. Well, she done finally woke her drunk ass up, Gigi. That wasn't no spell, Gigi. That was a hangover. She's a drunk, Gigi. That's what she is. Okay, all right.
Get away from me.
Take your mic back, Gigi. Here. Take your mic back. I want y'all to know that wasn't no L. And this ain't even PRC no more, Gigi.
Okay.
All right, continue on.
Okay, the chapter also takes us back to Nova and Jinx locked up in the palace. Jinx asks Nova why she didn't use her magical fire abilities to escape the dungeon. She said, "My gift is destruction. It's death. Even if it had gotten me free, it likely would hurt many who did not deserve the process." The scene switches back to Aurora and her mother at the tavern. Aurora is trying on a disguise to wear so she can walk downstairs into the general public and not be recognized. Her mother was helping her. As Aurora was serving drinks and working in the tavern where mostly royal soldiers frequented. She tried to listen to their conversations to see if she could hear any new news or gossip about their attack on the palace or Jinx. Suddenly she recognized one of the guards who used to work with Tevin, her former personal guard. She hoped he would not recognize her. Finally, Aurora heard important conversation between two soldiers. She heard Mirren, the soldier, the one she remembered. She heard him tell another soldier, quote, Prince Cassius would like you to lead the investigation into her whereabouts. Aurora knew they were referring to her. When Aurora goes back to check on her mother, she sees Duke, the person she asked to watch over her mother while she was downstairs. Her mother was crying, but they were tears of joy. She found out Duke wasn't who he said he was to everyone. He was actually a famous hero soldier named Lord Finis Wolfram.
Here we go. Gigi, so how many twists and turns this story gonna take? First, her mama was a well-established queen, then lost her throne, became a drunk and drugged up addict. I don't care what y'all say or what you say or what this book say, Gigi. She wasn't under the spell. That woman was drunk just like Cassie's father. She's a drunk. So anyway, so now she's a former thug who had a side piece on Aurora's father. Some old bastard that served in her army named Lord Phineas Wolfman or Wolfram. What's his name?
Wolfram. Lord Wolfram.
Wolfman or Wolfram. Whatever. Whoever the hell he's supposed to be. Girl, Queen Alfred, get the hell out of here. All these characters are for the streets, Gigi. Go. Now her mom trying to get her groove on, Gigi. Her mama, that's all she trying to do. Queen Alfred woke up from her hangover. Her drug stupor she was in, and she found the Wolfram, whatever, Lord Wolfram, whatever the hell his name is, and now she gonna get her good. Cue the music, put some sex music on for her. She get that groove back, Gigi. Oh, watch out.
Alright, that's enough sexy music for them. Alright, back to the story. The next chapter, Zephyr, Kieran, and Tevin are discussing the fact that Cassius knows Aurora is still in the city. They seem very stressed about it. They all wondered why or how he knew Aurora was still in the city. Did he get some information out of Jinx or Nova? Abruptly, Aurora said no. He had gotten the clue from her. Right then, she told them she had left Cassius a note on his desk when she was in the palace. Ransom told her the letter might have put Jinx in more danger, but Aurora retorted, he could have just taken the kingdom when I left. Instead, he searched for me relentlessly. I thought I could save Jinx and Nova by tying them to me to buy us time. So since Cassius had soldiers searching for Aurora, they all decided to hide Aurora outside the city. In the next chapter, Aurora and Kieran secretly meet with Zephyr on the edge of the city. They were near the docks where Nepeta River was based. There were bridges guarded by soldiers. Aurora didn't know how they'd get past the bridge. Zephyr, being a water witch and with magical powers, had a plan for Aurora and Kieran to get past the guards and bridges to get to the other side. She said, I'll create a bubble of air so you don't drown, and I will use my magic to propel you through the water until you are out of the guard's sight. From there you will be on your own. You will be wet, cold, and alone. Think you can handle that, princess? She asks Aurora. Aurora asks, how do we get in touch with you if we need to? She tells her to get in touch with a woman named Etel who works on the other side. Go find her if you need me. Finally, their protective bubble bursts and they are flailing and fighting into the cold water until their heads floated above the water into the darkness that surrounded them. They were moving fast down the river, toppling through the rapids. Finally, the water was shallow enough for their feet to touch the bottom. They climbed out of the river and collapsed on the shore. They found a rocky area in the woods to start a fire and dry ground to sleep on. As they dried their clothes on the rocks and warmed their bodies near the fire, Aurora started to talk about their relationship and how she thought they should get together again. Kieran disagreed, saying, "I will never be good enough for you, princess. You have to marry someone who is your equal, someone who brings land or skills or riches. I have none of those things, but I could be your guard. I could be like Pavan." But she let him know she wanted more than that from him. She said, "I might be a princess, but I have no intentions of following the steps of those who have come before me, and I have known not myself better than when I am with you. And I have not known myself better than when I am with you. I have no intentions of trying to make myself fit into the world you despise. I did intend to make it fit me and you, if you will stay, and I do not mean as my guard." As they made love right there, and so they made love right there in the woods in the rocky enclave near the fire.
What? Oh my God. Gigi, you sure can't pick them. They did what? Made love in the woods, in a rocky enclave. They ain't made no love, Gigi. They did the nasty out there in the woods. That's just nasty, Gigi. Oh my God. In other words, they got their groove on out there in the woods. Okay, Gigi, come on, here we go. Cue the music, cue the sexy music. To get a groove on, Gigi. Cue the sexy music. Go ahead.
Okay, so anyway, they woke the next morning and trekked through the forest along the river. Then Aurora uses a Stormheart Stone Kieran has trying to magically send. Then Aurora uses Stormheart Stone. Kieran has to try to magically send a message to Zephyr. The scene switches back to Pavan and Cassius. Cassius is entering the tavern. It was the Mermaid Tavern, Zephyr's Tavern. Cassius thought to himself that as a child, when he first encountered the first attack of the Stormlord, he became unlike his father. He stopped caring about land, about riches, and status. Cassius wanted to control that which would not be controlled. He wanted the kind of power he saw that tempest, the kind that could pull the very ocean from where it rested. He wanted the kind of power he saw in that tempest, the kind that could pull the very ocean from where it rested. He wanted what the Stormlord had, but today he wanted the answers to a few questions from the tavern owner he had heard so much about. So he goes to visit a tavern in his town where he rules at.
Oh, so now Cassius, he wants to be gangster. He wants to be like Stormlords. So he trying to be street. He trying to go to the streets, even though he the prince of the kingdom. He wants to go to the tavern, what they call the tavern, and get some information so he could be like the Stormlord. He wants to be gangster, Gigi. He want to be gangster like the Stormlord. So he going up in the pub, what they call a pub or a tavern. It's the bar. He went to the bar, Gigi, so he could try to get some information. He trying to go undercover. He wants to be gangster. Okay, cue music. He wants to be like the Stormlord. He's going undercover, not Gigi. Oh. Cue the music. Cue the gangster music. Come on. Since he trying to be gangster, we're going to cue the music. Go on, Gigi. Go on. Come on. So come on and check yourself. Oh.
Okay, so Back to the story. Immediately, everyone notices Prince Cassius when he entered, and they quieted down. The waitress approaches him and asks if he'd like to be seated upstairs. He tells her yes, and that he'd like to speak to the owner. After he's seated, a woman walks over with a drink. As he sips on the drink, she takes a seat. He tells her, "I'm not here for company. I only wish to speak to your boss, Zephyr." It's Zephyr he's speaking to. She tells him she's the owner. He is surprised because he thought the owner would be a man. He tells her he's looking for some information about an earth witch. She tells him there is no earth witches around. She tells him there is no earth witches running around the city that I know of. He continued with another question. What about newcomers? Anyone new to the city who sticks out? She told him no. Then Zephyr stood up from her seat and told him, "If you have any more questions, you know where to find me." Then she walked away, disappearing down the stairs. Something weird Aurora and Kieran are doing in the woods. Aurora is summoning dead. The story switches back to Aurora and Kieran in the woods. They're doing something weird in the woods. Aurora is summoning dead souls, talking to them, while Kieran collected magic from them. They're collecting magical powers into the different storm heart stones like wind, rain, and skyfire. They grind the stones into powder after magic is collected into them. Kieran told her the more dark souls we take powers from, it is one less evil spirit out there for the Stormlord to use. Suddenly, while Aurora and Kieran were in one of their weird magic collecting sessions, something bad happened. They were trying to collect the magic from a fog storm. While separate in the fog, a hand grabbed Aurora. A hand clamped over her mouth, jerking her back hard enough to lose her footing. Another arm wound around her, constricting her movements, and hot breath invaded her ear. A male voice said, "Come easily, or I will call another storm for your friend while he is distracted. He will either die by storm or lose focus and die by yours." Aurora nodded her agreement, and she let the Stormlord take her.
Now wait a minute. What? This book, I'm telling you, Gigi, what is going on now? Now you mean the Stormlord, the big gangster, the thug, them cat hole, big pimpin', them took Aurora? Oh hell no, Gigi. Now you know, if that ain't gangster thuggin', if that ain't gangster right there, her getting kidnapped like that, Gigi. Now if that ain't gangster right there, Gigi, you need to... What the hell? Okay, so the Stormlord that showed up, he's in the story. This is his debut into the story. Here we go. Now gangster music shouldn't be played now. This is the time to play it right now, Gigi. Play that music. Cue the music. Cue the gangster music. Oh, ow. Get it, Gigi.
Okay, enough of the gangster music. We gotta get back to the story. Okay, back to the story. The next chapter switches back to Nova and Jinx. A soldier storms into the room and demand Nova to come with him. She doesn't know where she's being taken. Nova and Jinx get into a short scuffle with the guard when Cassius abruptly walked in. When they stopped, he announced he was releasing Nova. He was freeing her from detention. He said he believed her original story that she had no part in Aurora's kidnapping. He said, "You are no longer to be kept against your will. You will be granted the opportunity to pick up your duties as a maid exactly where you left off. You may continue your life in the manner you lived in before this unfortunate series of events." She asked him, "What about Jinx?" He replied, "I'm afraid she's a different matter entirely. I imagine there is a great there's a great more to her that I have not yet discovered. Jinx stood and said, "Go, Nova, I will be fine. You know me." Cassius walked her back to her room and told her she would go back to her regular servant duties, but would not be allowed to enter the city, not until she proved him wrong and to be involved in the questionable matters again. If anyone wishes to see you, they will have to visit you here. That note Aurora must have left him shook when she said he better treat her friends right. So the story switches back to Aurora. Aurora woke up in a different part of the woods near some trees, only remembering being hit in the back of the head after the Stormlord grabbed her. She only knew she was alone and her feet and hands were bound with shackles and that were attached to metal stakes hammered deep into the ground. While laying there, she finally saw someone approaching, stumping out of the woods. It was her first look at the Stormlord.
What? So now we get a good look at the Stormlord. Oh, he approaching out the woods after he been tied up and knocked out. Now he coming back, Gigi. Oh, this gonna be scary. I guess we should play the Big Pimpin' again. We should play the gangster music again, Gigi. This is Q again. This is Q. Cue that music, Gigi. He coming back. He coming back. Here come the Stormlord. This is second debut. He coming again back. Okay. Cue the music, Gigi. Cue me. Oh, here we go. Ow.
Okay. So here he comes through the woods. He come through the woods. His hair was black as oil, cut in short, uneven spikes as dark as Kieran's. His eyes were black pits. He had a large scar that cut right through his right brow, over his eyelid, and down to the corner of his mouth. His body was long and lean. As he walked towards her, he said, "Relax. I'm not going to murder you if that is what you think. I brought you food." He started a fire and cooked some game he caught. When it was done, he offered her a piece of meat while she was still bound in shackles. She took it. Then she asked him, "Why are you doing this?" He replied, I do as the goddess wishes." She asked the goddess. He said, "Yes." He said, "Surely you are a believer." She said, I believe there's something bigger than us. Do you speak to the goddess?" He said, "I do not need to. She gave me an ability that only gods have had before me, to pour out storms according to my will. It is time to cleanse the world of those who shame the goddess, to rid the world of stormlings once and for all. I am the weapon she sent to do it." Aurora asked, "And what am I?" He replied, "That is what I am here to discover. You are like me. I felt you from the day you approached the city. What brought you here?" She said, "The same thing as you. I have been working with the rebellion to overthrow the Locks. We are preparing for an attack." So she's trying to convince the Stormlord that they had the same agenda. He asked her why doesn't she use her magical stormling abilities to defeat the Lock family. She says because her magical abilities are not fully developed, so that's why she's working with ungifted humans. She says her abilities aren't as strong as his. Finally, he tells her, "I suppose I could teach you. There must be some reason the goddess sent you. She meant for us to work together in this mission." Aurora was elated. She tells him that the rebellion has kidnapped Casimir and they are ready to hand him over to him. He replies, "Is that so? And how do I get to this rebellion of yours. She told him she could take him to the rebellion group, but he didn't trust her yet. The next scene switches to Kieran, still searching for Aurora in the woods, wondering where she disappeared to, not knowing the Stormlord had kidnapped her. After searching for her 2 days straight, he headed back to Pavan to get help. He needed Duke, Ransom, Bait, Sly, and Jinx. Jinx would know what to do. When Kieran made it back to Pavan to the remnant camp outside the walls, he saw people in the camp crowded together, pushing to get a good view at something. The royal lock guards were pushing them back. He got close enough to see what it was. It was a pile of dead lock soldiers who had been stacked atop one another. At the top of the pile was a pike stuck in them, and a bloody white flag tied to the pike. There were words written on the flag in blood. He asked one of the remnant residents in the crowd, "Who did this?" The old woman said he signed his name on the flag and called the bodies a gift to the royal family. Kieran said, "Who did?" She said, "You know him," and she pointed to the sky. She was referring to the Stormlord.
What? Damn, now you know that ain't nothing but gangster. She was pointed up and said, "You know who it is." She said, he said, "Who did?" She said, "You know him." And she pointed up to the sky, referring to the Stormlord, because he the one that caused the storms too, Gigi. You know that ain't nothing. He left a pile of dead bodies, dead bloody bodies, locked soldiers to leave a sign to the royal family, to Cassius and his family. Now that ain't nothing but straight up. That's thug, mafia, gangster, whatever, big pimpin', whatever you want to call it, Gigi. That's straight up. That ain't gangster right there. Now, cue the music. We got to play the gangster music for this. Cue the music, Gigi.
Oh my
Come
God.
on now.
Wait a minute.
Come on. All right, here we go. Flag on top. Cue the music.
Okay. So Kieran knew he had to contact the woman named Etel. 2 days later, he finally met up with Rakim and Zephyr at a dock at the river. He told Duke he had lost Aurora. Ransom was with Duke. Kieran was frantic and told them he needed their help to search for Aurora. Zephyr told him about the pile of on-duty soldiers that were killed. He said, "I know." She continued, "The attack was committed by the Stormlord." He snapped back, "I said I know." She said, "Do you know he left a note for the rebellion?" He asked. It said he knew we had a gift for him, and he wanted to offer a gift in return. We assumed it means Casimir. She told him they had not attempted to make contact with the Stormlord yet. Kieran pieced it together in his head that Aurora must have told the Stormlord about Casimir. That's the only way he could have found out, so he figured he is the one who abducted Aurora. Bait asked, "Can we trade Casimir for Aurora?" Zephyr replied, "We can try. Truthfully, we do not know if he has her." Kieran says, "You do not know that." They argued amongst themselves. Kieran said they needed to start a plan of attack, but Zephyr said they should try bargaining with him first. Next, the scene is back to Aurora, who's still chained to the ground in the woods. The Stormlord is gone and leaves her for hours. After being gone there for a whole day, Aurora is thirsty and dehydrated and hungry. When he returns, she asks him for water. He gives her some water but no food. She asks him, "I thought you were going to teach me." He said, "You need to feel helpless and alone. This is how it starts. This is how you will learn your gift. She asks, is that what happened to you? He says, yes, the locks made certain of that. They left me in the jungle to die.
Okay, now, Gigi, we done found out not only is he a thug, big pimpin' Stormlord, but he's a pissed off one. They done pissed him off, because he trying to get revenge. Now, Gigi, it's about revenge, Gigi. They say he was left to die in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
So he trying to get his revenge now, Gigi. Now we found out why the Stormlord got beef.
For sure.
With the Lock family, with the royal Lock family. They done messed up. They messed up. Okay, we have to cue some gangster music again, Gigi. Cue the music.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go, here we go. Oh.
So come on and tickety tap yourself before you wreck yourself.
Okay. So finally, the Stormlord unchains Aurora. He told her the first lesson he was going to teach her. She said, "You want me to make another soul?" He knew Aurora had the ability to take dead souls. He could too, but he had it mastered. He told her, "Yes, and I have selected the perfect one." So the Stormlord created a snowstorm in the middle of the forest near where Aurora stood and told her to use a soul to stop the storm. Aurora managed to stop the storm, then passed out. When she woke up, her wrists and feet were bound again. She was alone again. Then she heard someone approaching through the woods, but it wasn't one person. It was two people. Suddenly, she saw the Stormlord emerge out from the trees. He was dragging a man behind him. She recognized the man. He had dark curly hair and brown skin. It was Casimir, and he had a bloody mouth and nose.
Gigi, he don't. You mean to tell me he got Casimir? Cassius' brother? Oh, this ain't good, Gigi. Oh, this. So he about to interrogate him, beat the hell out of him, or kill him, or do something to him, Gigi. He about to commit murder. I'm scared for this. I'm scared for Casimir now. Mm-hmm. I'm scared for Casimir. I don't know how this gonna go, Gigi. You know what we should do, Gigi?
Oh, God, here we go. What?
Cue the gangster music. Oh, come on, let's get it poppin'. Oh! Ow!
Okay, all right. Okay, we gotta continue with the story. Okay, the Stormlord threw Casimir on the ground next to Aurora. Obviously, he had made contact with the rebellion. The Stormlord unlocked Aurora's shackles. She sat upright. The Stormlord said, "You said you supported the goddess will. It is time to prove yourself." He held out a knife to her and said, "If you want to be free, you want to earn your trust, my trust, and defeat the Locks, do this and you will take a step towards all three." She said, "You want me to kill him now? He said, if you want me to teach you the ways of the goddess, I need to know you are on the right side." Casimir stared up at her in shock because he recognized her face. She knew she could not harm him or kill him. She wanted to run, but her legs hurt from being tied up and she was exhausted. Before she could do anything, the Stormlord looked back over his shoulder into the woods from where he came. He heard something. Suddenly a storm started to form and the Stormlord snatched the knife from her hand. Suddenly he reached down and dragged the blade across Casimir's throat. She watched the prince's eyes go wide, felt the spray of blood across her face and the front of her body. She just started to scream.
Oh, snap, Gigi. It's murder. You mean they done got murdered? The prince? Cassius' brother? Oh, it hit the fan now, Gigi. It's the first murder in the... Is this the first murder in the book? He got straight up murdered, Gigi.
Yep.
Well, look, I knew it, Gigi. I knew it wasn't going to be good. I knew wasn't nothing going to come good when he got Casimir. Okay, you know what time it is, Gigi. It's time to play the game. Play it, Gigi. Put it on. Okay. Oh my God, okay.
Okay, back to the story. Aurora fell back when the Stormlord looked at her. She scrambled to her feet and ran. She ran toward the storm that had developed, but she felt his hand yank her back and pull her towards him. She grabbed the knife he had holstered in his belt and plunged it in his chest. His fingers loosened from her waist and she took off running for the trees and made it to the edge of the clearing. She ran for the trees. She heard someone in the woods. She hoped it was Kieran, and who had come to save her. She saw a shadow of a man walking towards her through the trees and the crunch of his boots on the forest floor. Soon she saw the tall figure of a man running towards her. It was not who she suspected. He was tall, with dark hair, light brown skin. It was not Kieran. It was who? Cassius Locke. She heard him yelling orders to his men who weren't far behind him. He saw her and asked, Aurora, are you all right? She answered, "No, I'm not." Then she crumbled to the ground into unconsciousness. He dropped his sword and cradled her in his arms.
Oh, on, Gigi. They say he cradled her in his arms. That man is still in love. Cassius is still in love with Aurora. I don't know Aurora, she and Caron. She need to get with Cassius. I mean, he's nice looking. He a king now. He ain't a prince no more, Gigi. He's a king. And it says on the next page, her skin was too cold. But a warmth he had not known in a long time began to spread through him at the certainty of having her safe in his hold. Oh, safe in his arms, Gigi. That means he in love, Gigi. He still want to get rid. He still want Aurora. Come on, cue the music. Cue the music, Gigi. Oh, you so cute. Oh, oh.
Oh, baby, now let's get
Okay, that's enough. Alright. Okay, let's continue on. He noticed she was splattered with blood. He searched for injuries that could not be the source of all the blood. When he walked into a clearing and saw that what had drawn the soldier's attention, what little warmth he had left him. His brother lay strewn across the grass, his neck open, with a puddle of blood underneath him. He looked away, blinking to rid himself of the sight. So he sees his brother Casimir laid out dead where the Stormlord had killed him.
Oh no, Gigi. Oh no, Gigi. His brother was laid out there, Gigi, with his neck wide open and dead, Gigi. Cue the music, Gigi. Just cue the music, Gigi. No, Gigi. No. Gigi. Casimir's gone. He just laid out with his neck wide open, just strong. What did it say, Gigi? Oh my God, Gigi, I can't take it. His brother lay strewn across the grass with his neck open, with a puddle of blood underneath him. Gigi. Oh no, Gigi. Oh no. Play the music. Just play the music. No, don't play the music. Don't play the music, Gigi. Casimir. Down. Come on, Gigi. No, it's okay. Just play the music, Gigi. Play the music, Gigi.
Alright, so now he notices his brother is gone. His first thought was the bastard Stormlord had to still be out there somewhere. He screamed to the soldiers, "Search the woods, search every tree if you have to find him." He commanded the soldier to wrap his brother's body up, keep it somewhere discreet until he could break the news to his family. Then he gingerly carried Aurora away towards the palace. As he looked down at Aurora's frail body, he thought to himself he wanted to turn back around and hunt the Stormlord bastard down and make him pay. He would. Cassius swore if it was the last thing he did, the monster would pay. The next scene, Aurora wakes up in her old room in the palace. She couldn't remember when she last slept so well. Her bed was big, plush, and comfortable. She realized the last person she saw before she passed out was Cassius. Then she thought she'd rather be here in the palace than in the woods with the Stormlord.
Well. I bet she did. I bet she is glad she's in that castle. Still in the woods with Kieran. It said right there, Gigi, it says that when she woke up, she realized the last person she saw before she passed out was Cassius. Then she thought she'd rather be in here in the palace than in the woods with the Stormlord. I bet she do, Gigi. She might as well go and get with him. She was supposed to marry him. That's her rightful place, Gigi. She was supposed to marry him anyway before she ran away from the palace. So she might as well go ahead and get back with him and forget that old scrubby looking Kieran running around the woods with him when you build a palace with a prince Cassius. That's what she should do. You know what you should do? Cue music. Cue the sexy music. So you can get that groove on. Cue the sexy music, Gigi.
No, I'm not cueing the sexy music. Not this time. So they're not doing nothing. Then there was a knock at her bedroom door. She expected it to be Cassius, but instead it was her friend Nova. She was elated to see her. Nova explained and got her caught up on everything that happened after her and Jinx were captured. How Cassius freed her from the dungeon and let her go back to her duties, but did not release Jinx. Aurora promised Nova she would save Jinx. Aurora explained all the things she'd been through while she was away from Pavan and the palace, and how she met Kieran. She told her how she felt about him. She was in love. So Nova told Aurora that they'd find a way to get word to Kieran that she was in the palace now. Finally, there was another knock at the door, and this time it was Cassius Locke. As he walked in the room, she thought to herself, he was still handsome. He asked, "How are you feeling?" She thought, "Better." Then she asked, "What do you want with me?" He looked surprised and said, "To save you. It's all I've been trying to do before. From the moment you were taken, I searched for you everywhere for months. Everywhere I thought you could be, I sent soldiers there."
What? Girl, he did all that for you? You mean to tell me Cassius did all that for Aurora, and she ain't trying to get back with him? She said, "What do you want with me?" And he said, "I wanted to save you. It's all I've been trying to do. That's all I've been trying to do from the moment you were taken. I searched from the moment you were taken. I searched for you everywhere, for months, everywhere I thought you could be. I even sent soldiers there." Wow, girl. Now, Aurora, girl, that don't get you moist for that man?
Silly.
Oh, you better get it popping up in that castle, Aurora. I don't know what's wrong with her. Girl. Cue the music, Gigi. Cue the sexy music. Girl, you better get it popping up in that castle.
on to this story. Okay, enough of that. Okay, then she said, and my mother, I do not think you were trying to save her by drugging her into unconsciousness. He said I had nothing to do with that. It was my father. She snapped, oh please, and Nova, was it your father who had her in prison? He said, no, that was me. I was trying to find out what happened to you. Then Aurora confessed to him she was not kidnapped, that she had ran away because she did not want to marry, because she saw the coldness and cruelty his family was capable of. He told her, I wanted to rule beside you, not let my father run another city into the ground. Once we were wed, I could prevent him from attempting a coup. I can still do that. My father could not stand against you and me together. Aurora said, I did not want to marry you then, and I will not marry you now. Not ever.
The end.
No, it's not the end.
I'm so sick of this story, Gigi. You know what? Gigi, I just can't take it. I can only take so much. People forget, I'm not just your co-narrator, Gigi. I am Shaquita The Fairy the Bees. I have other things to do besides come here and meet and listen to these goofy stories from the Dollar Tree, no less, Gigi. I mean, it looks like it's gonna have a good ending with a cliffhanger. And they just want to open that up so they can have a sequel to this book.
Whatever.
And I know, knowing you, Gigi, I know you're going to go look for that damn sequel and read it and come back and do another book review. But, ooh, I can only take so much. I got to deal with them bees, come here, and listen to this crap. Gigi the reader, I mean, I had committed myself to being your co-narrator. But I got other things I got to do, Gigi, besides listening to this goofy stories you tell.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I say, this one is fairly good. Ooh, I can only take so much, Gigi. One day, Gigi, you're going to be saying something or come in here stressed out for them damn bees, Gigi. And you're going to be in here with your dog, and I'll be ready to smack you and him. I can't take it. You're going to be saying something, I'm going to snap, Gigi. I'm just going to snap.
Get out.
Okay, all right. Well, take your mic back. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Down.
Okay. All right. Well, take your mic back. It's the end of this book anyway, Gigi. I don't care. Take your mic back. Hey, it's the end of the book anyway. Go out and get your stupid sequel too, and then y'all be right back here too.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to stop paying me, Gigi, for this. Let me get back to the mic. You got to stop paying me for my time. Because I'm not doing this out there. You and your goofy dog over there, crazy German Shepherd, too. I'm tired of him, too, Gigi. All right. Bye.
Okay.
Okay, bye. Continue on.
Boy. So anyway, Aurora said, I did not want to marry you then, and I will not marry you now. Then she heard a voice say, then I guess there is no point in keeping you, is there? It was Cassie's father walking into the room. Then he said, welcome home, Aurora. You caused quite a stir with your disappearance, though I can't say I mind. It worked out rather well, in fact. She snapped, you are deplorable. He said, someone has to be. Then he looked at Cassius and said, do you want to kill her, or shall I? When Cassius did not respond, the king lunged at her. Aurora was ready to defend herself, but Cassius tackled him from behind before his father could make it across the room. They tussled to the floor. Cassius ended up on top of his father. He reared back and landed a hard punch across his father's jaw. The king tried to stab Cassius with a broken piece of vase. He slashed him across his cheek. Blood spattered Cassius from the cut. Then he said, you would fight me over her? Cassius said, I've been waiting to fight you all my life. It is what you built me to do, to conquer whatever stood in my way. The king said, I am not standing in your way. I am trying to give you a kingdom without another powerful heir to challenge your claim. Cassius replied, you do nothing but destroy. You will ruin this kingdom like you ruined ours. I do not need or want your help. They began to tussle again. Cassius tried to wrestle the sharp shard of vase out of the king's hand. He bent his arm back until his grip loosened and he dropped the makeshift weapon. They began tussling and punching one another again. The king yelled, you ungrateful. Just when Aurora was about to throw herself between them to try and break them up, the king's body stiffened and jerked. He landed on the floor with a dagger buried to the hilt in his chest. The king was dead. Cassius looked at Aurora and said, "Now, will you believe me when I tell you I mean you no harm?" Aurora was stunned. She said, I am still not marrying you." He said, "Fine, but maybe a different kind of partnership. You might have more gift than I realize. But I am willing to bet you cannot take on the Stormlord on your own. Face it, you need me, Aurora." She looked at him, and the blood on his face he wore like a badge of honor. He had killed his father to protect her. That had to earn him at least some measure of trust. She finally said, "I'm not looking for a partner, but I will take a soldier if you're willing." She held out her hand and Cassius took a step forward. He ignored the hand she offered and knelt before her instead. Then he said, "As you wish, my queen." And that was the end of the story. I like this book. Although the author is not a person of color, she did make black characters, a black queen and king, and other characters in the book, people are black. And out of 5 stars, I will give this, I guess I would give it 5 stars. I will give this book 5 stars out of 5. I really liked it. And if I do find a sequel, I probably will, even if I have to go on to Amazon, I will get the sequel to this book and do a review on it, and I will post it. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.